before we actually start analyzing, I want to show you how to properly create deep and meaningful reports, because sometimes using the Facebook Ads Manager interface is just not good enough for creating sophisticated reports, and also it's kind of annoying to a lot of people. So show you how to use a better way, and also at the same time you will learn how to create reports that you can actually share with others. For example, maybe other stakeholders. It could be your clients if you're running an agency, it could be your boss, or just your colleagues, and you can even print them and maybe discuss them on paper in a meeting if you're into that. So let's jump straight over to Facebook and I'll show you the difference. First of all, we have the Ads Manager over here. And when we go to Ads Manager, we will see certain ads and reports. Let's just first go to our own account and we'll open the Masters Academy account, even though it's not running right now. And that's not the correct account either. So we have some reports, but then those are kind of difficult to look at, and we are limited by this interface over here that only allows us to look at campaigns on one single level. This is kind of the major limitation. Even though if you set up your columns right, you can definitely do your analysis over here, but sometimes you're going to need to go a little bit more in depth. Right, so that's why we have the ads reporting interface, which you can find over here in the advertise ads reporting. And then we can go ahead and create ourselves a report. Again, I'll be using the Masters Academy advertising account for that. There's no data that we're hiding. We're currently not running this account anyway, so it's fine. So first of all, when you create your report, you have three options. You can use a pivot table, a trend line chart, or a bar chart. I'll show you how to use all three, but the pivot tables are really where the power of this tool comes from. So first of all, you need to understand what breakdowns are. First, and I'll hide myself from this one. First, you need to customize your pivot table and get out what you want to break down. Now, here are your breakdowns over here, and you can choose a lot of options. Generally, what you want to see is the campaign name, ad set name, and ad name. That's what you want to break down by, right? And I think we're in the wrong account again. Or no, it's just our period is wrong, right? So let's just get some more campaigns over here. So let's just select the campaign name. If we just select the campaign name as a breakdown, we will see all the campaigns over here, right? And if we want to see the ad sets inside of each campaign, we can also take a look at the campaign, take a look at all the ad sets, and then the next campaign and its ad sets, and the next campaign and its ad sets, and so on. And if we really want to go deep, we can also go with the ad names as well. So we can see which campaign, which ad set, and which ad produced the actual results. You literally cannot do that inside of Ads Manager. So that's where some of the major advantages of ads reporting come into play, right? So again, just like we did with the columns, you can add yourself the right metrics that you want, right? So again, I'll hide myself. You don't really need to see me so much for this. So again, we can set up our metrics that we want to analyze. In this case, let's say that I want to take a look at my impressions, and you can also kind of move them like this. So this is a bit of a nicer interface than the Ads Manager as well. So let's see what we want to know. We want to know the delivery. We want to know the impressions. We want them to be in the right place, so we need to move them a little bit. This is a bit kind of hard to move this way, but it's not a big deal. So we want to see first impressions, reach and frequency in this order, and then we want to see the link clicks. And you will see why I'm doing this in this order in later when we actually start doing the analysis. So I don't know why that didn't find it. So we want to see the link clicks, and we want to see the link click-through rate, right? That's kind of our next two important objectives after the impressions, and we want to move those over. For this, you can kind of remove the breakdowns and just kind of keep the campaigns to be able to look at the data. So we'll take a look at this in a second. We added the link clicks. We want them to be right next to the frequency. We want to have the CTR again to be able to analyze our results. And so first we have impressions, then we have traffic, and then we want to have the results. In this case, you can do several things. You can do results and cost per result. So let's see where that is. That should be a little bit down here. They have the same, these guys follow the same order as the setup in the columns in Ads Manager. So that's completely normal. So let's see, right. Oh, there it is. Well, we want to see that. We can also take a look maybe at the purchases. I didn't know that the scroll, you had to scroll up to find. So we want to add the purchases, cost per purchase, and the purchase return on ad spend. No, well, not the purchase return on ad spend. We can just take the general return on ad spend. Yep, this one. So here we have our link clicks, our results, our cost per result, and then we want to have the purchases, and then we want to have the cost per purchase, and then we want to have the return on ad spend, the spend, and we really don't want to see the schedule, so we can get rid of it like that. And we want to see the revenue. That would be the purchases conversion value, is what it is. And so let's take a look. Now we can move the purchases conversion value next to the cost per purchase. And we really want to see kind of maybe the return on ad spend after the spend. So we can take that spend and kind of move it like that. You can also size these columns the way you want, kind of reduce them as much as is necessary, and that's really fine. So we want to make them a bit smaller. We know what they are, so we don't want to really spend all that real estate on them. Purchases, again, not in the millions, so we'll take a look. So now, when we go back to our breakdowns, we can remove the filter, we can add the ad sets and the ad name, and then we can take a look at our account. So let's get rid of these guys over here. You can also press F11 to make your screen a little bit larger and be able to analyze like this. Now, the cool part of this is that you can actually analyze by sorting. So for example, you can try and see which campaign had the lowest cost per purchase. So as you can see, just by sorting them in this manner, I can see a lot of information. Now, maybe I can go back and really start with the campaigns. So I can take a look at my campaigns, and this is very cool. You can kind of very quickly manipulate this report to get what you want, and you cannot do that with the Ads Manager. So let's take a look at the cost per purchase. So first of all, we have some kind of a post, which is obviously a remarketing campaign, so that's just a wrong attribution. Then we have our purchase remarketing, which is doing good. It's doing at selling courses at 32. And then we have the sign up remarketing. So people who have signed up for a free trial, we get 42 over here. And then we have another remarketing campaign, which is not doing so well. And our awareness campaign is at 152. And the traffic campaign is at 238. And the other awareness campaign is even more expensive than that. So let's take a look at this. So first of all, we can consider, like for example here, we spent nearly $5,000 and got 2 back. And we can just first of all generally estimate how is this campaign doing. So we spent nearly $8,700 and we got 9.6 back. So having in mind that our margins are pretty big, this campaign, we can say that it's profitable. But that doesn't mean that all of the ads and all the campaigns and all the ad sets are profitable. And even if it would be a much better case if it wasn't profitable, right? Because if we take certain periods, like before when we had it, when we had the courses being cheaper, it was a lot more profitable than when we increased the price. So maybe we should think about lowering the price or something. So in this case, it's just that what you can do with this interface is very, very nice in terms of the fact that you can also order it by ad sets. So you can see, maybe you want to see just what's your most profitable audience, right? So you want to see maybe order them by a purchase conversion value and see, right, this campaign generated, we spent $1.5 thousand and we got 3.5 back, right? So this, in terms of return on ad spend, would be a very good campaign. We don't need that guy over here. So you can see here, this is a campaign with a significant volume, and it's obviously some kind of a remarketing campaign. So it's not our best cold audience, but this is kind of is doing good. And then we also have certain remarketing campaigns. So for example, maybe you can also customize it and set it by delivery or by other options. Maybe you want to see which ad actually created the most conversions. So for example, I have some metrics over here. So we'll go back to the metrics and get the conversions. See which one is the right one. It's called registrations completed. Right, so we can add the registrations completed and cost per registration completed. So these are what's known as the Masters Academy free trials. And we can take a look at those, right? We can also take all of our ads, sort them by registrations completed, for example, and then we can see which one got the most ones and how much did a registration cost. And so we can obviously see that this awareness ad 1 was very good. And again, you can take a look at what happens when you don't use naming conventions and your ads are not named properly. So now maybe if I click here, I can go ahead and see this ad in Ads Manager, but as you can see, this is already taking too long. And so we can take a look at the ad and maybe understand what we did. And this is when we were offering the free business fundamentals course. So even though this ad got us more registrations, that doesn't really make it the best ad ever, since we spent $1,000 on it but got only $300 back in conversions, while as for example for this ad we spent $500 and it got 3.5 back with $16 being spent on cost per conversion, right? So this is just to show you how and in what ways you can use these reports. Now also what you can do, let's just go back and break down by campaigns. So if you break down the campaigns, here you have the option to take a look at the other reports. But now, in this case, I will only see 6 because they don't fit on the screen. They don't fit on the report. And here I'm using a lifetime campaign. So just to show you, you can also select fewer metrics. You can't have so many metrics over here. So let's just take, for example, link clicks. So we have 6 campaigns and we want to compare them by link clicks. So this will give us one report, but as you can see, these will also have some empty times. Some of them were running earlier, some of them were running later. And so sometimes you might want to be able to look at the trend report and maybe compare some important metrics. So let's say from April to August, I can take a look at this campaign and I can see which campaign got us the most link clicks. Obviously the traffic campaign did, but that doesn't really make it the better campaign. So then maybe we can turn and look to purchases and see maybe a very scattered graph. Yeah, it will be very scattered, and in certain cases we'll have a bit more purchases, and in other cases it will be very scattered since we don't really have a lot going on in that campaign. Now you can also look at this as a bar chart and see for certain campaigns, but the problem with these two, the bar and the trend chart, is that they only work when you have a large number of breakdown segments. So let's go back to the breakdowns and explain what that means. So if you go ahead and click the campaign name, ad set name, and ad name, take a look at what happens if you ungroup the breakdowns. So you will see the specific ad set name, and campaign name. And now you can also use that to better sort, because if, let's say, I want to learn which ad spent the most money. So for example purposes. So this ad spent $1,000 and we got 300 back from it. So it's an awareness ad, so that might be okay or not okay, but just I can easily take a look at all the ads, all the ad sets, and all the campaigns. Take a look at what happens if I group the breakdowns. So you can see now, if I take a look at the amount spent, I will get the campaign that actually spent the more money and not the ad itself. So when you ungroup the breakdowns, you will get kind of the latest level of things that you are looking at. And again, you can do that very quickly and take a look at the ad sets by just removing these guys. And so you can see which ad, for example, spent the most money, or which campaign spent the most money, and compare them like this, right? So very, very simple to do, which is things that you can't do as quickly as you can here in Ads Manager. Now, when you create your report, so let's say this is a report that I want to have and I want to save. Generally, I like to keep my breakdowns over here and I want to keep them grouped. right? Because that's kind of the way I like to do it. And especially if you're going to print or send that report to anyone so they can't manipulate it, definitely group them. You can ungroup them for certain cases, just you should be aware of, what this does. Also, another very, very, very cool feature that you can do here is you can create things and so-called filters or searches that will filter your report. So let's say I want all the campaign names that contain awareness. So we are going to get rid of the ad sets and the ad names. And so now I can only take a look at my 5 different awareness campaigns. And so now I can see how they worked, right? And as you can see also here, I can see the completed registration. Here is the result. Here is again, and here is landing page views, because this is a traffic campaign, which obviously doesn't perform as good. And so we can clearly see that this one made the most money, but spent the most money. In terms of return on ad spent, none of them are above 1. So none of them are actually positive on their own. They're not going to work on their own. And we can take a look at the completed registrations, right? So this campaign, even though it spent the most money, is obviously looking to be getting the most results. And the cost per registration here is kind of what really makes sense and is the most important. Here it's 10, here it's 70, and here is 130 with a traffic campaign. This is a conversions campaign focusing on completed registrations, and this is a traffic campaign focusing on traffic, and you can see the difference, 10 against 130. So we'll get to the analysis in a second. We're not studying any analytical methods right now. I just want to show you how you can manipulate reports to get what you want quickly and not waste time. So then I can also do the same with remarketing. Again, if you use the right naming conventions, you will feel so much better with this report, and you can really quickly and easily pull the right campaigns and ad names and whatever by using the search and filter functionality over here. You can also compare different filters. So you want to campaign, for example, the remarketing against the awareness. And go ahead and do that. And create a custom breakdown from that, right? You can also ungroup them. And you can see how you can also sort by that, by the way. So you can take a look at the remarketing campaigns, the awareness campaigns, and the remainder, which are not in this. And so you can take a look at it like that and see maybe how things are developing from that. As you can see, the awareness campaigns spent the most money, then it's the remarketing campaigns, and then these other guys, just for an example. Now, once you are happy with a report, so in this case, I really don't want to do that, so I will just get rid of it. I will remove this column. I don't want that breakdown to be active. I will set my breakdowns again. I'll get rid of this thing, and I can save it as something. So that will be general overview report. So that's kind of the report that I use to start with. And now that it's saved, you can also refresh it from over here. You can export it, and you can share it as a link, right? If you open that link, you can now open and see and share that report. And also, you can export that. And unfortunately, there's no PDF export from here. You want to export it in the formatted data. And then once you do export it, you can actually convert it into a PDF, maybe print it or send it to someone else. And the cool part about exporting it into Excel is that you can actually manipulate that report in Excel, which is very, very cool. and in Excel, things are really a little bit tidier. So you can sometimes do that within Excel. I personally like Google Docs. I don't really use Excel, but you can open that report in Google Docs and kind of format it the way you want. But it's kind of a fixed period report. So you can also send it to someone, and you can also maybe save it as a PDF if you want to do that. Now, let's get rid of this guy over here. We don't want to save it. And finally, I want to show you some cool things that you can do with these guys. So we want to ungroup the breakdowns. And the way you do that is you can just take a look at the campaigns. And then maybe you can take a look at the trends. Now, with the trends, obviously, you don't want to break down into too many things. So what you want to see, for example, is just compare the purchases and the cost per purchase. And then the trend graph would be of any use. Maybe you can also use the bar graph if the trend graph is kind of buggy and doesn't really show you how things are going because campaigns were stopped and paused and running for a long time. Then you can also use the bars, and that would really help you understand, all right, here we spent that much and got this much back, and that can also kind of be a way to quickly preview your campaigns. Unfortunately, however, this is kind of weird that you cannot sort it. So it's kind of giving you the information as it's coming from the pivot table, and you can't sort it, but another thing to consider. And again, if you want to be sending these reports to people, that's the best interface that you can actually use. So that's really everything that you need to know about working with these reports. And I'll show you in the next video, I'll show you the standard analytical techniques to actually conduct meaningful analysis.